Welcome back to our channel World of Coins, the place where we uncover hidden treasures in your coin collection. Have you ever wondered if that old coins could be worth thousands or even millions? Well, today's your lucky day. We're diving into some of the rarest and most valuable US coins that might be sitting right under your nose. Let's jump in and see if you've got a fortune waiting to be discovered. Top 1. Imagine a coin so small, so humble, yet it holds a legacy that stretches across wars, presidents, and generations of American history. A coin you might have overlooked in a dusty drawer or passed over in an old collection box. But if you look closely, very closely, you might discover something extraordinary, because today, we're uncovering the hidden power of the 1939 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a 1-cent coin that, in its rarest form, can be worth more than a luxury car, more than a year's salary, more than some homes. So buckle up, collectors and coin lovers, because this is not just a penny. It's a portal to the past, and maybe, just maybe, a path to an unexpected fortune. Let's set the stage. The year is 1939. The world is on edge. World War II has just begun in Europe. Franklin D. Roosevelt is president. The Great Depression has not yet loosened its grip on the American people. Times are hard, yet the spirit of the nation is unbroken, and in the midst of it all, the United States Mint is still pressing out the humble penny, the smallest denomination, but one that holds immeasurable historical value. The 1939 Lincoln Wheat Penny is part of a beloved coin series that began in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, and Lincoln's stern, thoughtful profile has since become iconic. On the obverse, we see Lincoln's unmistakable face facing right, with the motto "In God We Trust" arched above him, liberty to his left, and the date 1939 pressed cleanly into the right. Turn the coin over, and you're greeted with two graceful stalks of wheat, arching along the edges, giving the coin its classic name, the Wheat Penny. Between the wheat stalks are the bold words 1 cent, and beneath that, United States of America. Above it all floats the phrase E pluribus unum, out of many, one. But while millions of these pennies were minted across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco in 1939, not all of them are the same. Some hold secrets, some have flaws, and some are so rare, collectors spend years chasing them. Let's dive into the fascinating world of errors and varieties, because these are the key to unlocking a 1939 penny that could be worth a life-changing amount of money. One of the most famous errors from this year is the double die obverse. This happens when the die that stamps the coin gets misaligned during the production process. The result? You see faint, but clear, doubling of letters or numbers, especially on Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the 1939 date. A 1939 double die Lincoln cent, especially one in pristine condition, is a serious collector's prize. But the trick is, they're rare. Very rare. And many went unnoticed for decades, lost in circulation. Now imagine pulling a 1939 penny out of a roll and seeing those doubled letters staring back at you. That's a heart-racing moment for any numismatist, but that's not the only variety to watch for. Some 1939 wheat pennies were struck with repunched mint marks, abbreviated as RPMs. These occur when the mint mark, either AD for Denver or S for San Francisco, was punched into the die more than once at slightly different angles. Under magnification, these letters appear shadowed, split, or ghosted. They're subtle. But to a collector, they're gold. Then we have the struck-through errors. Imagine a piece of debris, a thread, or a bit of oil getting between the die and the planchet when the coin is struck. The result? Weird textures. Missing sections of design. Phantom impressions. Each of these errors is unique, a one-of-one piece of minting history. Another fascinating find in some 1939 pennies is the off-center strike. If the coin blank isn't centered perfectly when struck, you'll get a coin where the design is shifted or even partially missing. Some off-center pennies from 1939 show 10%, 20%, or even 40% off-center, and the more dramatic the shift, while still keeping the date visible, the more valuable the coin becomes. And finally, there's the wrong planchet error. Pennies struck on blanks meant for dimes, nickels, or foreign coins. These coins will feel too light or too thin. Their edges may be off. Their diameter may be smaller. These mistakes are rare, but when discovered, they turn heads at every coin show. Now, let's talk about something just as important as the error: condition, because even if your 1939 penny doesn't have any minting mistake, if it's in brilliant uncirculated condition, it could still be worth thousands. That means the coin shows no signs of wear, maintains its original shine, and has all its details crisp and intact. Collectors use a scale called the Sheldon grading scale, which goes from 1 to 70. A 1939 wheat penny graded MS-67 or higher, especially with full red color and luster, is a rare sight to behold. Most of these coins were spent, rubbed smooth in the pockets of Americans living through tough times. So to find one that survived the decades in near-perfect condition is like unearthing buried treasure, and that brings us to the story of one extraordinary coin. A coin pulled from an old penny jar in a grandparent's attic. At first glance, it looked normal. But something about the shine, the sharpness of the strike, the doubling on the date, it all suggested this was no ordinary cent. The coin was sent in for professional grading, and the results: it was a 1939 Lincoln Wheat Penny, featuring a double die obverse, in an astonishing mint state 68 red condition. That it turned out to be one of the finest known examples of its kind, and when it crossed the auction block, seasoned collectors knew what they were looking at. This was a rare specimen from a pivotal year, with a dramatic error and immaculate condition. The final sale, an absolutely breathtaking $294,000, yes, you heard that right, $294,000, for a single Lincoln Wheat Penny from 1939. That's the magic of coin collecting. That's the power of history preserved in copper. And that's the reason why millions of collectors around the world keep hunting, keep searching, keep believing, because sometimes, the smallest coin can carry the biggest surprise. So, what are you waiting for? Go check those old coin jars. Look at that childhood collection. Roll through those wheat cents. And the next time you spot a 1939 penny, treat it with the respect it deserves, because it might just be your gateway to a discovery worth more than gold. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, where we bring you the most incredible coin discoveries from across history, and maybe inspire your own. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting, friends. Your next big find could be just a penny away. Top 2. What if I told you that a tiny copper coin minted over 80 years ago, a coin that once bought bubblegum, a glass of milk, or a newspaper, could today be worth more than a brand new luxury car? And that the secret to its value lies not in gold or silver, but in tiny imperfections invisible to most eyes. Today, we're about to uncover the thrilling mystery behind the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a small coin with a colossal story. So if you're a coin collector, a curious enthusiast, or just someone who enjoys a good hidden treasure tale, then stay with me, because what you're about to learn may make you look at your pocket change with brand new eyes. Let's take a step back into history. The year is 1941. America stands on the brink of entering World War II. Tensions are rising globally, and the United States is still reeling from the Great Depression. Franklin D. Roosevelt is president. Gasoline is 10 cents a gallon. And in that quiet moment before the storm, the U.S. Mint continues its steady production of coins that keep the country's economy humming. Enter the Lincoln Wheat Cent. On the front of the coin, we see a strong, stoic Abraham Lincoln, the first real person to appear on a U.S. coin. His profile faces right, just as it had since 1909. Above him reads "In God We Trust," to his left is Liberty, and to the right, the date, 1941. Flip the coin over, and you're greeted by the elegant simplicity of two curved wheat stalks, enclosing the bold words 1 cent, and beneath that, United States of America. Floating above is the timeless motto E pluribus unum, Latin for, out of many, one. But here's the twist: while over 1 billion of these coins were minted, only a few, very few, are worth a small fortune today, and it's not because of what they were made of, although that's interesting too. These pennies were struck in 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the last years before wartime penny compositions would change. No, the real treasure lies in the rarities and errors. Because in 1941, mistakes at the U.S. Mint led to some very unusual coins slipping into the hands of ordinary Americans, coins with hidden secrets that collectors are still chasing today. Let's uncover them one by one. First, we have the double die obverse, one of the most famous and beloved errors in coin collecting. A double die error occurs during the die creation process, when the coin's design is engraved twice, but at slightly different angles. The result? Letters and numbers appear with a ghost-like shadow, giving the coin a doubled appearance. On the 1941 Lincoln cent, collectors have found doubling in the date, the word liberty, and even in God we trust. Spotting one in the wild takes a sharp eye, but if you do, that little copper coin could be worth thousands. Next up, the repunched mint mark, or RPM. In 1941, pennies were minted in Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. Sometimes, the mint mark was punched into the die more than once, and not always in the exact same place. This creates what collectors call an RPM, a mint mark that looks shadowed, doubled, or partially overlapping itself. There are well-documented 1941 DRPMs and even 1941 SRPMs, and they're highly desirable, especially in high grades. But that's not all. Have you ever seen a penny with part of the design missing, or with the image shifted dramatically to one side? You may have stumbled upon an off-center strike, another type of error that occurred when the coin blank wasn't properly aligned in the press. That if a 1941 penny has an off-center strike, and especially if the date is still visible, that can be an instant jackpot for a collector. And then there's the rare and bizarre struck-through error. This happens when a foreign object, a bit of cloth, dust, wire, or grease, gets in the way during striking. The design ends up distorted, smudged, or partially blank. Each one is unique, making these errors highly collectible for those seeking one-of-a-kind pieces, but the most jaw-dropping, wallet-shaking versions of the 1941 Lincoln penny. Those come when one of these errors combines with exceptional condition. In the world of coin grading, the Sheldon scale measures a coin's condition from 1 to 70. Most 1941 pennies found today are heavily worn. They've been in circulation for decades, passed from hand to hand, scraped, tarnished, and forgotten. But once in a blue moon, a 1941 penny is discovered in mint state condition, untouched by time, preserved like a time capsule. These are graded MS-65, MS-66, MS-67, or even MS-68. Combine one of these rare grades with a dramatic mint error, and you've got something truly special. Now let me tell you the story of one such coin, a 1941 penny that changed everything for the person who found it. This penny had been resting quietly in a family coin album for years, mistaken for just another common wheat cent. But during a detailed inspection by a collector, and later by professional graders, something remarkable was revealed. It was a double die obverse, with sharp, clear doubling on the date and the motto. But even more astonishing, it was graded mint state 68 red, almost perfect, with blazing original luster, no signs of circulation, and stunning visual appeal. Experts were stunned. This wasn't just a rare coin, it was one of the finest known 1941 double die Lincoln cents in existence, and when it hit the auction block, the bidding war was intense. Collectors from around the world recognized its rarity, its condition, its beauty, its place in history. When the hammer finally fell, the final sale price left everyone speechless. That small, copper penny, just 1 cent in face value, sold for a breathtaking total of $175,000. Yes, $175,000. That's the power of numismatics. That's why collectors never stop looking. That's why we check our coin rolls, search those old jars, and pass our passion down through generations. So now, it's your turn. The next time you see a 1941 Lincoln Wheat penny, don't just toss it aside. Examine it. Look closely. Use a magnifying glass. Check the date. Study the mint mark. Search for doubling. Look at the surface for brilliance. Weigh it, scan the rim, and if it feels special, trust your instincts, because history has shown us that even the smallest coin can carry the biggest surprise. If you enjoyed this story and want to discover more secrets hiding in America's coins, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another rare coin revelation. Until next time, happy hunting. And may your next coin be the one that changes everything. Top 3. There are stories written in ink, stories passed down in books, and then there are stories struck in copper. Small, quiet, and often forgotten, these stories live in the pockets of history. Today, we're going to unlock one of those stories, a story born in 1947, etched into a humble 1-cent coin that most people would never think twice about, but here's the twist. This is no ordinary penny, this is the 1947 Lincoln Wheat Penny, and if you've got one with just the right combination of rarity, error, and condition, you could be sitting on a piece of copper worth more than a brand new supercar. So grab your magnifying glass, get comfortable, and join me on a journey through American history, minting mysteries, and coin collecting excitement, because the story of the 1947 wheat penny is one that every collector, enthusiast, and treasure hunter needs to hear. Let's start with the year itself, 1947. World War II had ended just 2 years earlier. America was healing, rebuilding, and stepping boldly into a new era of prosperity and innovation. Factories that once built tanks were now making cars. Troops were home, babies were being born, and the country was beginning to write the first lines of the post-war American dream. But even amid all this change, some things remained constant, like the Lincoln cent, quietly rolling off the presses of the U.S. Mint. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, had by 1947 become a daily part of American life. People didn't think twice about it. They carried it in pockets, dropped it in vending machines, tossed it into jukeboxes. But buried among the billions of ordinary coins were a handful of extraordinary specimens, coins so rare and valuable that they would someday stun the world of numismatics. On the obverse, we see the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, strong, steady, and enduring. Above his head, "In God we trust." To the left, liberty. To the right, the date, 1947. And just below his collar, in some cases, you'll find a mint mark, either D for Denver or S for San Francisco. If there's no mint mark, the coin was minted in Philadelphia. Flip it over, and we're greeted with that simple, classic design that every collector knows and loves: 2 stalks of wheat, arching like a crown around the bold letters 1 cent, with United States of America beneath, and E pluribus unum up top. But let's get to what you really want to know. What makes this coin special? Why would anyone pay tens, even hundreds, of thousands of dollars for a single penny from 1947? The answer lies in rarity, error, and condition. First, let's talk errors, the kind that happen deep inside the mint, when machines slip, metals misalign, or humans make small mistakes with massive consequences. One of the most desirable errors found on 1947 wheat pennies is the double die, especially on the obverse. A double die happens when the die used to strike the coin is engraved twice, just slightly off from the first strike. The result? You get doubling of the date, the letters in liberty, and even in God we trust. To the average person, it looks like a blur or a shadow. But to a seasoned collector, it's a jackpot. Then there's the repunched mint mark, or RPM. In the days before computerized precision, mint marks were added by hand, and sometimes, the punch would land slightly off, requiring a second strike. That's how you get an S over S or D over D mint mark, small, almost invisible details that skyrocket the value of the coin for collectors. And let's not forget the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank is misaligned during minting, resulting in a coin where the design is noticeably shifted to one side. If the date is still fully visible, these coins are highly collectible. The more dramatic the error, the more valuable the penny becomes. But some of the most exciting 1947 pennies are those struck on the wrong planchet, that is, the wrong metal blank. Imagine a Lincoln penny struck on a dime planchet, smaller, lighter, and totally out of the ordinary. These wrong metal coins are extremely rare, and when they appear, collectors go absolutely wild. Now, all of this brings us to the other factor that turns an ordinary penny into a small fortune: condition. Most 1947 pennies you'll find today are worn, brown, scratched, or tarnished. That's what happens when a coin lives in people's pockets for decades. But every so often, one penny survives in pristine condition, untouched, shiny, almost glowing with its original red luster. In coin collecting, we grade condition on a scale from 1 to 70, and a mint state 67 or 68 red penny from 1947 is a true unicorn. Combine that with a rare error or variety, and you've got a once-in-a-lifetime coin. Let me tell you the true story of one such coin. Not long ago, a longtime collector, someone who'd been stacking wheat pennies in boxes for years, decided to send a few of his best 1947 cents in for grading. One of them stood out. It had deep red color, sharp features, no scratches. Under magnification, it revealed something more, a double die obverse and a flawless, blazing surface. When the grading came back, it was certified mint state 68 red, one of the highest known examples for that year, and error.it caught the attention of a major auction house, and when it finally went up for bidding, the competition was fierce. Bidders from around the world fought for the chance to own this shimmering piece of American history. When the final gavel fell, the total price left everyone speechless. That tiny copper penny, once worth just 1 cent, sold for a staggering $255,000, yes, $255,000 for a 1947 Lincoln Wheat Penny. So what does this mean for you? It means that there could be treasure sitting right under your nose. In your coin jar. In an old family album. In a box from your grandparents. You don't need to be rich to find rare coins, just observant. Curious. Willing to look a little closer. Examine your 1947 pennies. Look for doubling. Study the mint mark. Hold the coin under bright light. Check the color, redder is better. And if you find something unusual, don't ignore it. You might just be holding your own piece of American coin history. Thank you for joining me today for this fascinating journey into the past. If you loved this story, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a chance to learn about the rare, valuable, and sometimes unbelievable coins hiding in plain sight. Until next time, happy hunting, and never underestimate the power of a single penny. Top 4. In a world filled with loose change and pocket clutter, there exists a tiny piece of history that has quietly gained fame, not for its size or its flashiness, but for its powerful story and staggering value. It's not made of gold or silver, it's not even rare at first glance. But if you're lucky enough to find the right one, it could be the most valuable penny you've ever held. Today, we're diving deep into the story of the 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a copper coin so common, you might have one buried in an old cigar box or coin jar right now. But don't let its small size or quiet nature fool you. This coin can carry a secret worth a fortune. So listen closely, collectors and treasure seekers, because what you're about to hear might just change the way you look at pennies forever. Let's turn the page to the year 1952. America was in the midst of transformation. The scars of World War II were healing, the Korean War was still underway, and Dwight D. Eisenhower was elected President of the United States. Gasoline cost 20 cents a gallon, families gathered around black and white televisions, and rock and roll was just beginning to find its rhythm. And somewhere, in the midst of all that change, the U.S. Mint was busy producing millions of Lincoln pennies, coins that would end up in payphones, jukeboxes, movie theaters, and back pockets across the country. The 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny features a portrait of the great Abraham Lincoln, serious, strong, and eternal. On the obverse, you'll find "In God We Trust" at the top, "Liberty" to the left, and 1952 boldly to the right. Some of these coins have a D below the date, for Denver Mint, or an S for San Francisco. If there's no mint mark, it came from Philadelphia. Flip the coin over, and you'll find the traditional wheat reverse, two elegant stalks of wheat framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum perched at the top like a seal of honor. On the surface, this coin seems ordinary. But hidden among the hundreds of millions minted in 1952 are a few coins that are anything but. These are the coins that keep collectors awake at night. The ones that make hearts race when discovered. The ones that are talked about at conventions, published in auction catalogs, and locked away in prized collections. The magic of the 1952 penny lies in three powerful factors: rarity, errors, and condition. Let's talk about errors. The fascinating mistakes made during the minting process that accidentally create some of the rarest and most valuable coins in existence. One of the most sought-after errors on a 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny is the double die obverse. This happens when the coin die, the tool that stamps the design, is engraved twice, slightly out of alignment. When the coin is struck, it shows clear doubling on the date, the word liberty, and sometimes even "In God We Trust." To the untrained eye, it may look like a shadow or a blur. But to a collector, It's a dream come true. And the sharper and more dramatic the doubling, the higher the value. Another rare variation comes in the form of repunched mint marks, known as RPMs. In 1952, mint marks were applied by hand, and occasionally they were punched more than once, resulting in a D over D or S over S mark. Sometimes, the second punch landed at a slightly different angle, leaving behind a telltale ghost image that can make your coin worth a small fortune. And then, there's the off-center strike, a dramatic and eye-catching error that happens when the coin blank isn't properly centered during minting. This results in a coin where the design is shifted to one side, sometimes missing key details or having large blank spaces. If the date is still fully visible, an off-center 1952 penny can command big money. Even rarer still are the struck-through errors, where foreign objects, like threads, grease, or debris, get between the die and the blank during striking. These coins show bizarre textures, deep grooves, or missing design elements, and no two are alike. They're mysterious, collectible, and always in demand, but perhaps the rarest of all 1952 errors is the wrong planchet strike, a Lincoln penny mistakenly struck on a blank meant for a dime, a foreign coin, or a steel cent from 1943. These are ultra-rare and can be identified by unusual weight, shape, or edge characteristics. If you ever find one, you've hit the numismatic jackpot. Now let's talk about condition, the factor that can turn a good coin into a record-breaking one. Most 1952 wheat pennies you'll find today are scratched, tarnished, and worn down from decades of circulation. But in a few rare cases, a coin was preserved perfectly, untouched, uncirculated, and protected from air and hands. These are graded on the Sheldon scale, from 1 to 70. A mint state 67 or higher red, meaning brilliant red luster and no signs of wear, is incredibly rare. Combine that condition with a dramatic error, and you have something that sends collectors into a frenzy. Now let me tell you a true story from the world of high-end coin collecting. Not long ago, a collector stumbled upon a 1952 wheat penny that had sat quietly in a family coin album for decades. At first glance, it looked ordinary, coppery, clean, and classic. But under a loupe, something incredible came into focus: clear doubling on the date and motto, and a sharply struck design with stunning red luster. The coin was submitted for professional grading. The verdict: a 1952 Lincoln cent with a double die obverse, graded mint state 68 red, one of the finest known examples of its kind. News spread fast in the coin world. This was not just a coin, it was a perfect storm of rarity, error, and condition. When the auction opened, collectors came from all over, eager for the chance to own such a masterpiece of American minting history. And when the final hammer fell, jaws dropped. That 1-cent coin, a humble little penny from 1952, sold for a mind-blowing $245,000. Yes, $245,000, and here's the best part: it was found in a home collection. Not in a museum. Not in a safe. But in an old coin book, hiding in plain sight. So what can we learn from this? Never underestimate the power of a penny. Especially not one from 1952. Because beneath its quiet copper surface could lie a story, a mistake, and a miracle, all in the size of your thumbnail. Check your coins. Search your rolls. Revisit that old change jar in your grandparents' kitchen. Because that one little wheat penny you almost forgot about, could be your once-in-a-lifetime find. That if you loved this story and want more discoveries from the world of rare coins, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We bring the magic of history to your screen, one coin at a time. Thanks for watching, and remember, the next big treasure might already be in your pocket. Top 5. Picture this. You're sorting through an old box of coins, maybe one you found in your grandparents' attic or tucked away in a dusty drawer. Most of the coins are familiar, some dimes, a couple nickels, and handfuls of old, worn pennies. But then, you stop. One penny catches your eye. It's dated 1953, and something about it feels different. It's a Lincoln Wheat Penny, and to most people, it would seem like just another old cent. But let me tell you a secret that coin collectors and numismatists have whispered about for decades. Some 1953 Lincoln Wheat Pennies are not just rare, they are incredibly valuable. And today, we're going to tell the full story behind that unassuming little coin, the history, the minting, the hidden errors, And the reasons why one specific 1953 penny shocked the collecting world when it sold for a price that would make anyone do a double take. Let's rewind the clock to 1953. The war was over, the baby boom was in full swing, and Dwight D. Eisenhower had just stepped into the Oval Office. Families were moving into suburbs, televisions were flickering to life in living rooms, and America was settling into its post-war identity. But amidst all that change, one thing remained consistent: the United States Mint kept doing what it had done for decades, striking coins that would power the economy and circulate in the hands of millions. Among those coins was the Lincoln Wheat Cent, a design that had been in production since 1909, honoring President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. The 1953 edition carried the same proud portrait of Lincoln, facing right, with "In God We Trust" curved above his head, liberty to his left, and the date 1953 to his right. Just below the date, on some coins, you'll see a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. If there's no mint mark, it came from the Philadelphia Mint. Now flip the coin over and you'll find two elegant wheat stalks curving inward from both sides, surrounding the bold words 1 cent and United States of America, topped by the classic motto E pluribus unum. So you might ask, is a coin that had over 700 million examples minted now considered one of the most exciting pennies to collectors? The answer lies in a magical trifecta: errors, condition, and rarity. Let's start with the errors. Because these are the accidents that turned ordinary pennies into once-in-a-lifetime discoveries. Point one: of the most dramatic errors collectors hunt for in 1953 pennies is the double die obverse. This happens when the die that stamps the coin gets impressed twice by the hub, slightly misaligned. It's a subtle slip-up, but it creates dramatic effects. You'll notice doubled numbers in the 1953 date, or letters in Liberty and In God We Trust appearing shadowed or split. Not all double dies are created equal. The stronger and more visible the doubling, the more collectors are willing to pay. Next up, we have repunched mint marks, or RPMs. In 1953, mint marks were still hand-punched into coin dies. Sometimes, the mint worker punched the mark more than once at slightly different angles, creating overlapping images. A D over D or S over S mint mark can significantly boost the value of a coin. Then there are the off-center strikes, where the blank coin isn't properly aligned when it's struck. If your 1953 wheat penny has a visible but shifted design, especially with the full date showing, you could be looking at a high-dollar collectible. Even more exciting are the struck-through errors. These occur when something like grease, wire, or thread gets between the die and the planchet during striking. The result? Missing elements, strange impressions, or designs that look faded or warped. These coins are like fingerprints, no two are exactly the same. And then, there's the holy grail, a penny struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a 1953 Lincoln cent accidentally struck on a dime blank, smaller, thinner, silver-colored. These mix-ups are almost unheard of, and when discovered, they become the centerpiece of any serious collection. But here's where the story gets even more fascinating: even a perfectly struck, error-free 1953 wheat penny can fetch big money, if it's in the right condition. Condition is everything in coin collecting. The grading scale goes from 1 to 70. Most 1953 pennies out there are in rough shape, circulated for decades, scratched, worn down, and dark with oxidation. But once in a great while, a penny is discovered in mint state 67 or 68, with glowing original red luster, razor-sharp details, and no signs of wear. Combine that flawless condition with a rare error, and you've got a coin that could bring a fortune at auction. Now let me tell you about one such coin, a coin that collectors still talk about. It started with a man cleaning out his late father's belongings. Inside an old metal box was a collection of wheat pennies his father had gathered since the 1950s. Most were brown and dull, but one penny, just one, looked like it had been struck yesterday. He took a closer look. The date read 1953, and there it was, strong doubling on Liberty, crisp shine, mirror-like fields, and deep red brilliance. He had it graded. The results? A 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny, double die obverse, graded mint state 68 red, one of the finest ever seen. When? Top 6. If someone told you that a single penny could change your life, would you believe them? Most people wouldn't. After all, what can a 1-cent coin really be worth? We pass them off, forget them in coat pockets, and leave them abandoned at the bottom of coin jars. But what if I told you that one specific penny, a coin that millions of people overlooked, spent, and ignored, has become one of the most thrilling discoveries in the world of coin collecting? Today, we're talking about a coin that seems simple on the surface, yet hides incredible value for those who know what to look for. This is the story of the 1956 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a piece of American history that could be worth a fortune if you hold the right one. So grab your magnifier, coin lovers and collectors, because what you're about to learn might just have you rushing to dig through your change. The year was 1956. The world was changing. Rock and roll was taking over the airwaves. Gas cost 23 cents per gallon. Dwight D. Eisenhower was leading the country through the heart of the post-war boom, and the American dream was alive and thriving. But even with all the excitement, the penny stayed the same, humble, reliable, and rooted in tradition. That year, the United States Mint continued producing the Lincoln Wheat Cent, a coin that had already been in circulation for nearly 5 decades. It bore the classic image of Abraham Lincoln, a portrait of dignity and leadership, facing right on the obverse. Above his head, the words "In God We Trust," to his left, "Liberty," and to his right, the date, 1956. Some coins were struck with a small d beneath the date, meaning they came from the Denver Mint. Others had no mint mark, meaning they were struck in Philadelphia. The reverse featured the iconic wheat ears framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the motto E pluribus unum arching across the top. Now, with over 1.5 billion wheat pennies minted in 1956, including both Philadelphia and Denver issues, you might wonder, how can one of them be rare? It all comes down to what makes certain coins unique. The difference between a common penny and a 5- or 6-figure collectible lies in 3 key factors: mint errors, unusual varieties, and exceptional condition. Let's explore the errors first, the very thing that transforms an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. One of the most exciting error types on a 1956 penny is the double die obverse. This rare mistake occurs when the die that stamps the coin's design is imprinted twice, just slightly misaligned. The result? A stunning doubling effect on the lettering or numbers, like a ghostly shadow. On the 1956 penny, doubling is most commonly seen in the word liberty, the date 1956, and the motto "In God We Trust." These are dramatic, visible errors, the kind that jump out at you once you know what to look for. And collectors pay handsomely for sharp, strong doubling, especially in high-grade examples. Then we have repunched mint marks, known as RPMs. Back in 1956, mint marks weren't added by machines, they were punched into dies by hand. And that human element means mistakes happened. If a mint worker accidentally misaligned the punch and had to reapply it, it created overlapping images, like a D over D, with both strikes visible under magnification. Some of these RPM varieties have been fully cataloged and listed in major coin guides. But others? They're still being discovered, quietly sitting in old coin rolls or forgotten collections. Now, let's talk about off-center strikes, another thrilling error collectors chase. When the coin blank, or planchet, isn't properly aligned during minting, it results in a coin where the design is shifted. Some of the image might be missing, and a portion of the blank coin remains untouched. If the date is still visible, that coin instantly becomes a treasure. There are also rarer mistakes, like die cracks, struck through grease errors, or even coins struck on the wrong type of planchet, like a dime or foreign blank. These are extremely scarce but do exist, and if you find one, you've struck gold. Now, let's focus on something equally important: condition. Most 1956 pennies today look exactly how you'd expect. Worn, scratched, dark brown, or even corroded. After all, most have passed through the hands of hundreds, maybe thousands, of people over the years, but a select few escaped that fate. A very small number of 1956 wheat pennies were set aside, protected, and preserved immediately after minting. These are the mint state coins, untouched, uncirculated, and radiant in their original copper-red glow. When graded by professionals, these coins are ranked on a scale of 1 to 70. A mint state 65 red is considered high quality. A mint state 67 red is elite. And anything above that, like a mint state 68 red, is nearly unheard of. The brighter the luster, the fewer the marks, the sharper the details, the more valuable the coin becomes. And if one of those pristine coins also carries a rare error like a double die or repunched mint mark, that's when magic happens. Let's talk about a real story, a collector's dream come true. A few years ago, a retired man in Illinois was going through his late brother's old coin collection. It had sat untouched for decades, stored neatly in cardboard flips and sleeves. Among dozens of wheat pennies, one caught his attention. A glowing red penny, dated 1956 D. The surface looked flawless. The color was vivid. Under magnification, he saw something even more remarkable, a slight but clearly visible doubling in God We Trust and Liberty. The mint mark, too, showed signs of a repunch. He sent the coin for grading. The result? A 1956 D Lincoln Wheat cent, double die obverse, repunched mint mark, and graded mint state 68 red, one of the finest of its kind ever documented. It went up for auction. Word spread quickly. Bidders from across the country prepared their offers. This was no ordinary penny, it was a living artifact, a minting marvel, a coin that told a story with every microscopic detail, and when the final gavel fell, the room fell silent. That 1-cent coin, small, copper, and once forgotten, had just sold for $205,000. That's right, $205,000. So what's the takeaway here? It's simple. Never judge a penny by its size or by how common it may seem. Because among billions of coins, a few contain errors that slipped through the cracks. A few have been perfectly preserved. A few have stories waiting to be uncovered. The next time you're holding a 1956 wheat penny, take a second look. Use a magnifying glass. Study the details. You never know what you might find, a small imperfection that could be worth more than anyone ever imagined. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into one of America's most surprising coins. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like the video, subscribe to Valuable Coins All World, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next incredible discovery. Until then, keep hunting, keep learning, and remember, sometimes a penny is worth far more than just 1 cent. Top 7. In a world filled with small things that are often overlooked, sometimes the tiniest object hides the biggest surprise. A worn-out coin, forgotten in a drawer. A dusty penny resting quietly at the bottom of an old jar. At first glance, it seems like nothing. But upon closer inspection, it tells a story. A story of American history, of wartime recovery, of the precision and imperfection of the United States Mint, and today, we bring you one of those quiet treasures. A small copper coin with an enormous tail, the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny. It's a coin that's been passed around in lunchrooms, traded at candy stores, and rattled in 1,000 pockets, but a rare few have gone on to stun the collecting world with their value. This isn't just another penny. This is a penny with potential to be a 6-figure discovery. Let's travel back to 1954. The world was shifting once again. The Korean War was drawing to a close, Elvis Presley had just recorded his first single, and televisions were finding their place in homes across America. While the culture was changing rapidly, one thing remained constant: the penny, the Lincoln Wheat cent, minted continuously since 1909, continued to be a cornerstone of American currency. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't rare. It was just reliable. But for collectors today, the 1954 edition holds secrets worth uncovering. Let's start with the design. The obverse, or front, features a sharp side portrait of Abraham Lincoln, facing right, with the timeless phrases "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" on the left, and the date 1954 on the right. You might find a small mint mark just beneath the date, a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. No mint mark? That means it came from the Philadelphia Mint. Flip it over, and you'll see the classic wheat ears curving gracefully on both sides of the words 1 cent and United States of America, crowned with the motto E pluribus unum, out of many, one. Simple. Beautiful. Familiar, but not all 1954 pennies are created equal. And it's those differences, those little variations and errors, that have made some of them legendary among coin collectors. Let's break it down. There are three things that can turn a regular penny into a numismatic powerhouse: errors, rarity, and condition. Let's talk about the errors first, those tiny, unintentional flaws that happened inside the US Mint, but now cause collectors to pay thousands just to own them. One of the most exciting errors you can find on a 1954 penny is the double die obverse. This happens when the coin die, the tool that stamps the design, receives a doubled impression during manufacturing. When the coin is struck, it shows clear signs of doubling on the numbers and the date, or the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust. The effect? It's like seeing a faint ghost image just beside the real one. And when that doubling is bold and dramatic, collectors are willing to pay a premium, especially if the coin is in good shape. Another desirable variety is the RPM, or repunched mintmark. In 1954, mintmarks were still added manually. If the punch was off even slightly and had to be redone, it created an overlapping mintmark, like a D over D or S over S. These aren't just interesting quirks, they're official, catalog varieties that serious collectors hunt for. Then there are the off-center strikes. These occur when the coin blank isn't centered properly in the press. A portion of the design might be missing, leaving a dramatic crescent of blank space. The more off-center the strike, especially if the full date is still visible, the more valuable the coin becomes. And don't forget about the rare struck-through errors, where a foreign object like grease, thread, or metal shavings interferes with the striking process. The result? Parts of the design may be missing, distorted, or imprinted with odd patterns. These one-of-a-kind errors often create excitement at auctions because no two are exactly alike, but even without errors, a 1954 wheat penny can command serious attention if it was preserved in nearly perfect condition. Most pennies from 1954 look exactly how you'd expect after decades of circulation: brown, scratched, worn down, maybe a little corroded. But once in a while, a coin escapes the everyday wear and tear. Maybe it was placed in a protective holder straight from the bank. Maybe it was kept in a private collection, never touched by bare hands. These are the coins that receive mint state grades, especially those that shine bright red, meaning they still hold their original copper color. A mint state 67 red wheat penny from 1954 is rare. A mint state 68 red is nearly unheard of. And if one of those also happens to be a double die or an RPM, that's when collectors start making serious offers. Let's talk about one such coin. A man in Michigan had inherited his father's coin collection. Most of it was common: nickels, dimes, old quarters, a few silver certificates. But tucked inside a plastic flip was a penny that glowed. The date? 1954, a D mintmark just beneath it. Under a magnifying glass, the collector noticed something odd: the D looked like it had been punched twice. And the letters in Liberty had a doubling effect. He had the coin graded. And the results? A 1954 D Lincoln Wheat Penny, repunched mintmark, double die obverse, mint state 67 red. One of the finest examples of its kind ever seen. It was sent to auction, and when it appeared in front of collectors, the buzz was immediate. Phone bidders, online bidders, and in-room collectors all recognized what they were seeing: an extremely rare, high-grade, double-error coin from a common year, the ultimate sleeper penny. And when the final bid came in, everyone in the room paused. That 1-cent coin, once forgotten, once traded like any other, had just sold for a jaw-dropping $125,000. That's right, $125,000 for a 1954 penny. So what's the lesson here? It's simple. Never overlook a coin just because it looks ordinary. Some of the most valuable coins in history were born from small mistakes. The coins you carry every day could contain a rare error, a hidden variety, or a mint state miracle. If you're willing to look, go check your coin jars. Dig through your old collections. Examine every wheat penny, especially those from the 1950s. Because you never know, that tiny, copper coin in your palm could be your ticket to an incredible discovery. If you found this video helpful or exciting, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to Valuable Coins All World, and ring the bell icon so you never miss a story about hidden coin treasures. Until next time, happy hunting, and remember, sometimes, the biggest surprises come in the smallest coins.